Yo, what is up, guys? Del Boy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button, hit the like, all of that good stuff. You know, I was out this weekend, so I've been catching up with the fights. I've just got done watching Romero versus Jackson Marinez. I've just got done watching it, and going into it, I didn't see any reaction to it online. So I was kind of going in blind. I wasn't really sure what to expect. And my lasting impression of that fight was absolute disgust. That decision, in my opinion, is a contender already for worst decision of the decade. An absolutely disgraceful verdict by the judges. How they came to this verdict, God only knows. Maybe some brown envelopes. I mean, these guys, man, they should be reprimanded. They should be suspended and maybe even investigated. When these judges mess up this severely, there are no consequences for them whatsoever. They'll get another gig next weekend judging more fights, when maybe they've ruined someone's career the weekend before due to either sheer incompetence or corruption. Regardless of what it is, the standards for judging and how boxing responds to these sort of decisions needs to improve. There needs to be some course of action in order to minimise this. Obviously, human error is a real thing. You know, judges are going to make mistakes, that's fair enough. But there are certain fights out there where there's no excuse. I don't understand how these guys got any of those scorecards from watching that fight. I mean, I am genuinely disgusted. I don't know what to say, to be honest. I mean, Jackson Marinez, that's who I feel sorry for here. This was his big moment. Romero is a highly touted prospect, or highly hyped prospect, who does a lot of talking online. You know, there's a lot of buzz with very little substance. He's getting a big push right now. And, you know, Jackson Marinez was coming into this fight from obscurity. This was his big moment, which was stolen from him. He went into this fight with no profile whatsoever, no fan base, nothing. And, you know, if he were to get the win over Romero, that really gets his name out there and potentially gets him bigger fights in the future, in which he's going to get paid more and he's going to be able to support his family in a much better fashion. He's going to be able to give them a better life. And, you know, that was stolen from him by these inept or corrupt judges. I mean, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. And these sort of robberies are always worse, in my opinion. We get some bad high-profile robberies, like Golovkin-Canelo 1, for example. That was really bad. But, you know, at least Gennady Golovkin, regardless of that decision, he is financially secure for the rest of his life. When you rob a fighter like Jackson Marinez, a nobody basically, let's be real, when you rob a guy like that, of this sort of moment, that can drastically alter the trajectory of his career. And obviously that's going to reduce his earning potential when you lose a fight like that. Absolutely disgusting. Obviously these bad decisions really affects the integrity of the sport of boxing, but also these decisions, man, a lot of these decisions, you know, are affecting people's lives in a terrible way. Someone like Jackson Marinez, if he won this fight, the doors would have been open for maybe bigger fights in the lightweight division that paid better. But now he's been robbed. Romero is not showing any interest in giving him a rematch. He said that in public now. So where's he going to go? Where's Jackson Marinez going to go now after he's been robbed of what was rightfully his? Who's going to give a fuck about Jackson Marinez? Romero, another privileged social media era fighter who is getting by on pure hype and favouritism. Because he lost that fight. You know, he was outboxed throughout this fight. Romero maybe won 3 rounds maybe. Romero was following this guy around, throwing one punch at a time, you know, loading up on everything. Yeah, he landed a few good shots here and there, but for the majority of this fight, he was getting boxed up. He was getting outpointed in the vast majority of rounds. And somehow he won the fight. I mean, come on. I'm disgusted. I cannot... This is terrible. This is terrible. I don't know what to say. You know, Rolly Romero is a TMT fighter. He's with Mayweather. If Mayweather knows what's good for this kid, he's going to tell him, you need to get in there with that guy again. Give him a rematch and make it right. Don't run away and duck now. You lost that fight. You know you lost that fight. Fight him again. Put that wrong right. You know, if you could get that rematch and look better, maybe get a knockout, then you can move forwards with a bit more credibility. But right now, you know, winning that fight the way he did, via a robbery, and then coming out and saying he's got no intention of rematching this guy, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted by the judges, and I'm disgusted by Rolly Romero. In all honesty, disgusted. This really is a travesty for boxing, to see those vile rats ringside rob a guy of his livelihood. These guys, man, should fucking hang their heads in shame. You know, these guys should be looked at and investigated. You know, there needs to be more scrutiny on these judges. They need to be held to account when they fuck up. You know, that's the reality. There's no accountability though in boxing whatsoever in regards to officiating, judging, etc, etc. There never has been. So it's not going to change anytime soon. As for Rolly Romero, I've got to be honest, I know the guy's young, but I don't see a guy with a high ceiling there. You know, he looks quite limited to me. One-dimensional, one punch at a time, doesn't set anything up, doesn't use the jab, doesn't feint, doesn't throw combinations. Every single time he loads up with single shots. You know, I'm not that impressed with Rolly Romero. Again, I know he's young, he could get better, but, you know, from what I've seen so far, I don't see a guy with a high ceiling, to be honest. And how this guy was fighting for a WBA interim title, you know, after 11 fights, given who he's beaten, I've got no fucking idea. So yeah, this guy, man, a privileged social media era fighter who's somehow now in the position of being an interim WBA lightweight champion when he's not earned any of this. He never earned a title shot. He never earned the win. Well, how's this guy here? Are certain figureheads in boxing being paid off by promoters? I mean, explain how this guy is where he is. Explain it to me. How's this guy here? It's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. This is what's wrong with boxing. You know, bullshit politics, terrible officiating, and all this nonsense. Rolly Romero has got a lot of work to do. He really does. You know, he needs to improve a lot. But he must rematch Jackson Marinez. He needs to rematch this guy. If he don't, then I'm counting that as a duck, and quite frankly, a bitch move, if I'm being honest. A complete bitch pussy move. If he ducks Jackson Marinez, you know, given what's gone on in the first fight. He needs to rematch Marinez. If he does that, I'll lay off. And if he wins a rematch and looks good, I'll give the guy credit. You know, I'm not scared to change my mind on a fighter, but what I've seen, I'm not impressed. And how he's responded to this fight with Marinez, quite frankly, I'm disgusted. And I'm disgusted by the judges and everybody involved. I feel for Jackson Marinez here. I really, really do. You know, hard to see. It really is hard to see. I love this sport, but even for me sometimes, you do kind of second guess yourself. Why the fuck we even watch it sometimes? But, you know, it is what it is, I guess. It is what it is. You know, boxing does throw up this bullshit from time to time. And every time it happens, you know, it doesn't make me any less angry. But there we go. What can we say? What can we say? This is boxing. Share your thoughts below. Peace.